the four positions of playoff until the end of the season. But it's true that once we grab like the first achievement, the first target of the team, that was being or clinching the playoffs, we started to think about the possibility of winning the regular season. Once we've won the regular season, we've started to think about the playoffs and about our third target, that was getting into the finals of the playoffs. In any moment we've thought about the last target or the last point of the iceberg, you know. We've always think in the next step and targets that we could approach. Yeah, it has been brilliant, you know, brilliant. We knew from the beginning that there was a fan base in Ottawa from the previous club here, from the Fury, and we had to give them reasons to come to watch the soccer game. So I think that throughout having good results, people started to be comfortable in coming and be supporters of a winning team. That is a little bit easier. But you know, I'm really happy of the work that the capital city supporters are doing. I'm very happy well, Fernando Lopez is helping and doing so much work on that stuff, so that the soccer community grows. I think that we are creating a really big bond between the club and the city. Well, the mentality and the way of thinking and the commitment that all the players show. You know, we have a very special roster, very special squad with players of different places in the world, you know, different nationalities, players that have played in different levels, in different leagues. So I think that this was one of the points that we had to match up as soon as possible. And the idea is that I feel very proud that this type of players started to think that no one is more important than the team. And I think that this is the mentality that has make us grow.
Canadian Championship is bigger than ever, with a record 14 clubs set to clash this year for a chance to lift the coveted Voyageurs Cup.
It has finally arrived.
It's a competition that has created some of Canada's most breathtaking football moments. Competition whose big prize includes a berth into the 2024 Concacaf Champions League.
Good cross, Brennan!
Watch every match of the 2023 Canadian Championship on one channel, One Soccer.
Champions again!
The Canadian Championship is on one channel, One Soccer.
In Willemstad, Curacao, Concacaf Nations League resumes for the Maple Leaf, and it's the first time Canadians get to see the men's team in action since the World Cup. Familiar faces, some new faces. The players have a big year ahead that starts tonight against Curacao, and all the action is right here on One Soccer. Hello, everyone, and welcome inside our One Soccer studio. Andi Petrillo alongside the boys, former Canadian international Jimmy Brennan, and senior soccer analyst Kristian Jack. We are ready for Canada. Are you ready for the Canadian men? And here's the thing, they have quite the reputation to live up to in CONCACAF. After all, they were dubbed the kings of CONCACAF, given that incredible World Cup qualification run. And they're talking about lifting trophies this year. They firmly believe they can do that. The last time the men's program did it, you have to go back to the 2000 Gold Cup. Jimmy, you were part of that. You know all about that experience. But here's the thing, there's still some qualifying to do before they can talk about lifting any kind of hardware. Here are the standings in their CONCACAF Nations League Group C. They played one less game, so they are still in a pretty good position here. Last time they faced Curacao, the June window, that was a comfortable 4-0 win for the Canadians. But then in that same window, a 2-1 loss to Honduras. So here's what needs to happen for the Canadians. They need to finish first in their Nations League group to qualify for the Final Four in Nations League. That'll be this June. And they need to finish top 2 in the group to qualify for this summer's Gold Cup. So if they want to lift the Nations League trophy, if they want to lift the Gold Cup trophy, that's what they need to do to qualify. And you'll notice that last part at the bottom there, when it comes to next year's Nations League, Copa America implications are on the line there. KJ, Canadians in a good position here to qualify for those trophies?
Oh, great position, yeah. I mean, they've done all the hard work with the qualification to get to the World Cup, which is obviously the pinnacle. But with that, they obviously boosted their rankings, which significantly will help them now. And look, you know, this is another game of meaning. They're not coming into these games where they're friendlies, Jimmy. They're going right at it. These games are massive. The one on Tuesday night in Toronto again, get through, because the opportunity to compete in those that Nations League final, or the semi-final, likely means a Mexico or US in another competitive game. And I think we've said a lot with this Canadian men's national team is that they've had a lot of those windows where they didn't play enough competitive games. So now they're here. They most certainly should embrace them.
Well, absolutely. And I'm glad that they're talking about trophies. And I'm glad that they're talking about winning, because that's what they need, that confidence and a belief within this team. And they have it. They've got the potential to win things. And now they've just got to go out into the pitch and produce it and make things happen. And it's a big build-up that they have now for that next World Cup. Getting to a Gold Cup, trying to win that as well, getting to a Copa America, doing as well as they can. And then just preparing themselves right for this next World Cup that's going to be coming up here in Canada and the States of Mexico.
They don't shy away from the big goals either. Talking to them after the fact when they did qualify for Qatar, they all said, we wanted to finish first in CONCACAF. That was before they actually did. A lot of people in the past would have said, that's crazy. To qualify is amazing alone. You guys made it a goal to finish first, but they did it. And to your point, they're talking about trophies. They're not shying away from it whatsoever. But in this game tonight, it's worth reminding everybody there will not be a John Herdman on the bench or an Alistair Johnson. You have to go back to their last Nations League game against Honduras, as mentioned, that 2-1 loss. Alistair Johnson received 2 yellows, the second yellow coming in stoppage time, so he's out. And then John Herdman also getting a red at the end of the game. The Canadians were visibly upset after this one too. They were not happy with the refereeing. We all saw the video of them going down the tunnel as well, continuing to voice their displeasure. With Alistair Johnson not being in the lineup, KJ, what kind of hole does that leave?
Well, it's enormous, and I think it says a lot about Alistair's progress, that it's unusual. I mean, he actually has the record. It's 31 straight games he's played in for Canada. It's ironic, actually. He's getting suspended and played 6 games after because he's back in this competition again, so he's able to keep playing. So there's opportunities for other people, but, you know, look, when Alistair Johnson first started playing in that World Cup qualification process when the games were out in the US because of COVID, you know, not many people knew a lot about him, and then he played, and as soon as he got that shirt, he's never let that go. That position, he's never let it go. So this is the first real time now that we get to see a Canadian team play without him. And I think he is an enormous loss, not only defensively, but the way he connects on that right-hand side. He makes it very easy and versatile to switch from a 3 to a 4. So it's a different chance today. It's a different kind of looking team with Larea playing a little bit further forward. But yeah, it's a big hole for them, but a bit of a break for him because he's been playing a ton of minutes in Scotland anyway. They should be okay tonight without him, and then Tuesday be back in.
Yeah, I think when you look at that challenge as well, that was a Scottish challenge, wasn't it?
He was ready for the Scottish Premiership before he even got there.
Straight down the shin.
Yeah.
All right, now we got to hear this story, Jimmy, because we had asked you if you've ever been suspended as a manager, and you said no, but I had to fill in for a suspended manager. We've all been waiting for this story. Do tell how that experience went, because you'll know how the assistant coaches.
Tell it.
No, we're telling it.
All right, so this was my days at Toronto FC. Ryan Nelson ended up getting a red card. Fran O'Leary, who was the assistant, ended up getting a red card, which meant that I had to
You're in, mate.
Oh, you're in.
That I had the next match. So I figured, right, I'm going to wear a nice suit. Now, I got this beautiful Italian suit, and this thing was so tight, right? I looked the part when I was walking in the stadium. My team talk was bang on.
Who are you against in this game?
DC United.
Okay.
Okay. But the only problem is the pants were that tight. I could barely sit down. So when I stood up and sat down again, I was looking at the guys going, I'm going to tear the ass out of these pants. Like I can't sit down. Right. So I stood up for about 86 minutes of that match, and we won, by the way.
Oh, you won.
That was great.
That reminds me, actually, I was doing sidelines once, and Greg Vanny in Montreal he did exactly that. He tore a big hole in his pants. He had to get a towel and wrap a towel around his suit pants for that exact reason. So
that's what happens.
These gaffers, they must like their suit pants tight.
We do. You like them tight. You got to look the part. You just can't sit down. They're not practical.
You know what the secret is? You gotta have a little spandex in your pants, boys. Put a little spandex in the pants. Trust me, it works. Let's take a look at Canada's starting 11 now, brought to you by GE. Take a look at this. Right away, that catches my eye. Noah Tiba in this one. Kone is starting, but also KJ, no Tejan Buchanan.
Yeah, no Tejan Buchanan. We're hearing it's a little bit of a hamstring issue. They have had an MRI, no serious injuries there. Have to say I'm not surprised, to be quite frank, that he's playing a ton of minutes at club level at the moment. So that's a loss. He is on the bench. I don't expect to see him from what we're hearing at camp. The other big one is Kennedy and Cornelius playing. We'll get to Cornelius in a minute, but this is the balance of the team that we're looking at, Jimmy, but they could switch. Kennedy could play at left back. Davies go further forward. As usual with Canada, lots of interchange within the system, and it's never exactly what it looks like.
No, it isn't. But, I mean, this is what I think they'll go with. I mean, we've all talked about it. I think this is fitting for this match as well. But you're right. They can adjust and they can interchange, and it doesn't matter what position. Players asked to play, they can obviously play. And like I said before, good players can play anywhere when asked to fill in.
Well, how about Derek Cornelius? Let's get to him now, because this is a big opportunity for him to get this start.
Yeah, first of all, a great fella, a player that I've known a long time. I'm delighted that he's got his opportunity. Derek Cornelius is now in Sweden. He's playing for a club called Malmo. Now, if you know that name, you'll know it for a reason, because it's a club that's expecting to win trophies. And he scored a big goal in the Cup recently. The Swedish League's a little bit like the Canadian Premier League season. They don't start till April, but they start with their Cup. So he's already played significant competitive games. Why is that relevant? You look at all those players who are playing for Canada tonight. They're all playing regular competitive games now. And what I'm delighted for him is that he looks a different player to me that played at the Whitecaps. Full more confidence again. He's very good on the ball, and I think he lost his confidence with that. He hasn't had many opportunities, mainly because in that area of the pitch, Kamal Miller and others, it's been very solid for Canada. When you go back to this beginning of the World Cup campaign back into the summer of 2021, there's actually 30 Canadian players who played more minutes than Derek Cornelius during that time. He played one match, Jimmy. That was the away game in Jamaica. So he hasn't had his chances. You'll know this far better than I will. When you get that chance, you want to keep it.
Oh, you have to hold on to it. And the good thing is, too, he's at a club right now that develops players, and they'll look to sell them on. And a lot of good, talented players have come from that club and moved on to that next level. So he's in the right place right now to get his minutes, play first-team football.
Winning environment.
Winning environment, and at a club that's willing to sell players when the time is right.
Yeah, a reminder, Kamal Miller injured injured playing for CF Montreal. So he was originally called in, but they just knew he wouldn't be available for this. Kyle Hebert, by the way, getting the call, playing in Major League Soccer with St. Louis. Let's talk Ismail Kone, because a lot of people are excited to see what this kid can bring. He's getting the start here. I mean, he had 1 year of pro under his belt with CF Montreal before John Herdman brought him to the Canadian men's national team. Now that he's been with Watford, what are you expecting to see from him?
Look, I liked him. I've liked him from day one when I first started to see him breaking into that Montreal team. He's a player that can go box to box. He's got good height, good size. He's comfortable on the ball. He's in a good team right now that's actually pushing for promotion. Yes, they're going through a bit of a hiccup right now. Last 10 games, they haven't picked up many points, as much as they should have, to continue that march on and get into that championship playoff. But overall, for me, this is an opportunity for him to get into this lineup right now and make a statement. He's got the jersey. Atiba's maybe looking at on the cuffs right now, thinking, I might be retiring, I might play a few more games, but this is for him now to get a hold of that shirt and hold on to it, because this is a player, for me, for the next 10 years, can be the #1 in that position.
Yeah, right now it's quite amusing in a way that we're still reading a little bit of previews for this game going, will Kone start, won't he? I don't think we're going to be asking that question for much longer, because it's going to be a name you're just going to be expected to be named for Canada games in a long time. The other thing about Watford is, you saw a picture there, Slaven Bilic, he got fired from Watford. And I think that's never a good thing for team managers lose their jobs. But that's a wake-up call for a player like Kone, who's a little bit in and out of the team. As you said, they want to compete, they want to get to promotion. He's a young kid, but he knows that every game matters. That is a cutthroat environment in that championship. Jimmy's played in it, he knows exactly what it's like. And when you see a manager lose their job like that after going through a tough run without no wins in 8, Kone's like, oh wow, every game matters, every shift matters, every little opportunity matters, and that's massive for his development.
You're bang on what you're saying too, because when I first went over to Europe, and I was at Bristol City at the time, I had 5 managers in 5 years.
Right.
And I had one manager where I was starting, and then he got fired. So the next manager comes in, which means you have to up your game even more, because you want to start under him. So every manager that comes in, you have to keep proving yourself to continue being that starter. And
he's going to get that a lot at Watford. They change their managers often. So.
Do they ever? They're one of the best at that.
I feel like that's a wee bit of a trend in soccer. By the way, Alphonso Davies now going to have to deal with a new manager, too, out in Bayern. Let's take a look at Curaçao's starting 11, brought to you by GE. And when you look at their veteran midfielder there in Leandro, he had said, I didn't like the way we lost the first game to Canada, so I want revenge. When you look at this team, can they get that?
Well, I think they can certainly get it in the performance. I think that look, they're not as bad as they were when they lost 4-0. You know, Renko Besentini's come in, he was an assistant under John Herdman for a couple of games. Zivkovic is a big name for me. He played in the Ajax system. It's his first game. He's converted over. He played Netherlands under 21. Obviously, the Bacuna brothers, we know they play in the championship, the aforementioned championship we're just talking about. Anita's played in England. Cuca Martina, the captain as well. So there are names that, people who know the game will be aware of. So to answer your question, should Canada beat them? Yes. Do we expect Curacao to be as poor as they were in Vancouver? I certainly don't, Jimmy.
No, I agree. And we can't forget about Anita as well. He was at Newcastle. He was at Leeds. They've got players that have played in the Premier League that's in this lineup right now. And a lot of people don't understand as well that the majority of these players have played at the youth Dutch levels for Holland, at the under-19s, the under-18s, the under-21s, the under-20s. So they've got valuable experience. Some of them have played at big clubs in Holland as well. So they're not going to be a pushover that you see in many other countries. These are players that know how to be a professional and have played at a higher level. A lot of them have.
Well, now their head coach in Bisentini, is he sharing any secrets from John Herdman? Maybe they'll line up tactically different against Canada from last time. Well, a comfortable 24 degrees in Curacao. The Canadians trained in Miami to get used to the heat. And someone who has been playing with a lot of heat is Jonathan David. What is it about his scoring touch? We'll discuss that next.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Ooh, this does not look good for Canada.
They may need to send someone in to replace Kyle Larin.
Send him in.
I'm in it! I'm coming!
Never ever seen anything like this before.
I think it's you. Is that a shawarma?
Habibi!
Boom! That's Osmos, baby.
We're making what you're craving, Osmos.
It looks like we're headed towards
and many people's dreams of owning a home.
What's keeping you up at night?
I'm kind of stressed about
my money situation.
Oof, it's stressful to talk about.
Oscar, come here.
Here's your financial stress companion.
She definitely helps.
It's never too late to start.
Good portfolio.
Back with saving for my first down payment.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. First 4 weeks free. Access Storage. Proud partner of Canada Soccer's men's national team.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on watch.onesoccer.ca.
The 2023 Canadian Premier League season kicks off Saturday, April 15th with last year's finalist Atletico Ottawa facing a new-look Halifax Wanderers side. The CPL is on one channel. It's One Soccer.
So tonight it's Canada, Curacao. Curacao will actually be making their way to Argentina to take on the world champions in a friendly. Canada will then move on to take on Honduras. They will be making their way to Toronto BMO Field, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll get you set up right here on One Soccer, as this will be the final match in the group for Curacao. As Canada-Honduras will wrap things up. Welcome back inside our studio once again, Andi, Jimmy, KJ. Well, he's one of the top scorers in Europe right now, playing in Liga with Lille, and that would be Jonathan David. 27 matches, 19 goals. What's so special about his goals? What is he doing right?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank him because my weekends are great right now watching this kid play every week for Lille. I love it. I'm watching every game. And you know, I feel like I've sat here and talked a lot about Jonathan David throughout this last couple of years. We've all seen what's he getting better at. We've talked at the big board about his left foot finishing. We've talked about the one-touch finishing. What I want to show you now is the 5 league goals he's scored in 2023 so far, and I think they've all got something in common. So when we roll it, what I want to talk to you a little bit about is instincts. And what you can see here, when he comes to receive the ball with his left foot, which has been a massive part of his development, just keep an eye on him as he's in the box. What I want to talk about is instincts and the ability to smell things before they happen. We're going to see a ball develop here. When it goes in the air, we're going to pause it there. Jonathan David is at the back post in space, but nobody from that scenario would expect this is going to be his goal. Play it through, he gets a touch, and he's there again, the aforementioned left foot to put it in. And that's just one of the 5 goals he scored so far in 2023 calendar year. Again, here we're going to see it develop. Cabela's been fantastic in midfield for them, a driving force. Look as he's on the shoulder of the defender there as he goes through. We're going to pause it again now, and David is actually just entering the box with 2 defenders in front of him, and the ball's about to go into the air. Who wants it more? Who smells danger? Who sees it? Who's got the instinct? David, one-touch finish. Again, to make it 2-0 against Strasbourg. Again, we're going to go through another play here. Again, we'll start it in the midfield and develop. David's heavily involved with Bamba as the striker gets through. See, Bamba goes one-on-one. You think he's going to score. David is not there yet. He's going to be in that vision. You don't think he's going to be the one to score. What does he do? Look at that for a finish. Left foot again, one-touch finish in a position you don't expect him to be. He's again finding himself in that position because instincts and the ability to see things happen before they do is something I think he's improved dramatically in 2023. This is a marvellous goal, my favourite of the 5. He's on the edge of the penalty box. He's squared up. He understands the moment the fullback goes around. Look at that image. You don't expect he's going to get anywhere. Look at his run right away, instinctively, and he gets his header, and something else has improved dramatically on as well, by the way, is his heading ability. That's his 4th. We wrap it up with another one, another fantastic goal that you don't expect. Why? Well, look at this. Bamba gets the ball. He looks like the man who's going to score. He split the defenders. David just hangs out on the edge there. He doesn't follow in. He understands what's going to happen, and then bang, the rebound comes out and he smells it again. And that, Jimmy, is part of strikers, isn't it? Smelling that ability to find the goal, and he does it better than most.
It's having that instinct. You know, he is an out-and-out striker. And there's no doubt he is world class, and he's going to get a monster move very, very soon. But in and around that box, for me, I think he's one of the best. I love the way he plays on shoulders. He's always watching the defenders. As soon as the defender changes his head to look at the ball, he's making a run in behind. He plays on the numbers and looking for the back of the jersey because he knows exactly where he's going to shift and move. And he always finds that half a yard in and around that box, whether he's going near post or far post. He's such a clever, instinctive striker. And we're very lucky to have him. Very lucky.
Yeah, I'm glad he stayed there too for another year at Lille, because there was rumours of him moving in that summer, and he got that, and he stayed, and he needs to play. He could have gone to a bigger club.
That will help him.
Yeah.
That extra year will help him.
It will.
But I'm so excited to see where he goes to next. And you know what? He's coming in form. Kyle Larin, who's also getting the start, coming in form after making his move. It was not working out at Club Brugge, but he's been looking good in La Liga. So the Canadians back. They are ready to hit the pitch. When we return, we'll send you inside the stadium in Curacao for Concacaf Nations League action. It's been over 3 months since we've seen the Canadians in action. Are they still the kings of Concacaf? Kickoff is next on One Soccer.
Canada's men's national team is brought to you by the Toyota Corolla family, hatchback, sedan, and hybrid.
At Toyota, our lineup of electrified vehicles is always growing. We're evolving the ways we move so that every Canadian has a choice towards a more sustainable future. One that includes the all-new, all-electric Toyota BZ4X. Because every electrified vehicle we build at Toyota brings us all closer to a better future.
Gatorade, with electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat, carbs to help fuel your working muscles, and fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing.
I do this for my town, my time, my time. None of you people can tell me to stop.
Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
How do you go from the best to the ultimate? You choose the big, bold, ultimate taste of ultimate chicken sausages and ultimate chicken hot dogs. Choose ultimate. Only from Maple Lodge Farms.
New Degree Advanced. First ever 72-hour nonstop protection with motion sense. Tested to the limit. And proven.
Still feeling dry and fresh.
72-hour nonstop protection however much you move.
Think you've seen tough? You've seen nothing. When you're absolutely drenched and still take the final shot? Not even a challenge. Playing extra time under the beating hot sun. Hardly sweating. When the wind's so chilling it cuts to the bone? Now we're getting somewhere. Playing in Canada's tough. We're not sorry about it. Want to beat us? Come on. We're made for this.
Thank you, Canada, for making dreams come true. We're with you all the way.
Allstate and its 900 agents proudly support Canadian soccer at every level. Visit allstate.ca.
Fans in the stadium getting ready for kickoff here. Canada versus Curacao, Concacaf Nations League action. Alphonso Davies playing that left wing-back role. Do you like him more on the left here, Jimmy, as opposed to playing more in the middle?
Yeah, I love him on the left. I think that's where he's most comfortable. I think that's where he's at his best. I love it when he comes from deep, and he loves taking players on down that line. It's a funny thing because when you're a left-sided player, you're so used to always having that line. And so you make certain runs and it becomes a habit, right? And constantly reading players throughout the game because you've done it for so long in your career. And once you take that left-sided player and then put him into a different position, sometimes they're like a fish out of water, whereas I think he's at his best and most comfortable when he's playing down that left side.
It's been a big topic since he's made his debut, and I think it could be a massive topic for this club and for this team in 2023. I mean, you take the World Cup; it was only 3 90-minute matches, but he played left wing back, he played left back, he played right wing back against Morocco. He played up front, and I think he would benefit from some consistency there. It's not easy to manage someone like that in terms of deciding where the best is to play. The one thing I would say is that the fantastic goal-scoring form of Kyle Larin and Jonathan David makes it easier, because if he does want to play as a front two, like sometimes he has, suddenly you're like, well, how do you keep a couple of those boys out at the moment? You remember in the Morocco game, Jonathan David was surprisingly left off the team to start that game at the World Cup, and Alphonso played obviously up front when they went a goal behind and 2 behind in that game early. So I'm with Jimmy. I've been consistent from the start. I love him in that left wing back role. You can move over and transition, particularly when you've got Cornelius or someone like Kennedy. You can shift it into a 4 as well. He's explosive coming into the play. When he's higher up, sometimes the explosion is stunted because he receives the ball in a higher position and the defender comes on him quicker. I like him receiving the ball and into the space quicker.
All right, they've made their way to the pitch, getting ready for anthems. The next voices you will hear will be that of Gareth Hume and former Canadian, or Gareth Wheeler, I should say. I just put them together, and Ian Hume, I just made you a couple, my friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please stand as we listen to the national anthem of Canada. Damas y caballeros, nos zapili, por favor, queda parata, uwagi noc himnu national Korso.
Canada is back. The team that made the country believe, coming off a World Cup dream, they return for a new year, a new cycle with new challenges and opportunity, with the potential to reach new heights this calendar year within the region. Tonight, a much different venue than the big stage and the bright lights of Qatar and the World